Hi, this is a quick introduction to finding data sets at the UTSA Library. Just a quick reminder, depending on your topic, you may find it more helpful to go directly to a government website like the Department of Education or the CDC, the census. But if you're using the library to look specifically for statistics and data sets, I'm going to point out a couple databases. I'll go ahead and click there so that I can download databases that will be helpful for this kind of project. So we do have quite a few databases, and they are arranged in a couple different ways. I'm going to go ahead and minimize the chat window. We're going to go ahead and stick over here where it says Find by Format. Go ahead and click on the data sets and statistics. All of these resources will work for you if you're off campus. You'll just need your ABC123 to log in. So as soon as this opens, data sets and statistics will take you to 47 different databases that are just statistics and data sets. So there are other places you can look within the databases, but these are kind of that raw and uninterpreted data that you may be asked for. So if you skim through there, so you'll see there are some that come directly from the census. There are a lot of business, economic numbers in here. I'm going to go ahead and scroll, even some politics. I point that out because I know some of you have that topic. But I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to the S's, and I apologize if this makes you dizzy. I'm going to go ahead and go straight down to 3 right in a row. And I'm really choosing these because they are an example of the different kinds of ways we look at data. So the first one I'm going to click on is called Statista. And this is really kind of business data. This is thinking about numbers from really an economic standpoint. So to give you an idea, if I do the term bilingual, go ahead and search it, what you're going to get a feel for is how would marketers look at the topic of bilingual. So looking at millennials and where they shop. So where do bilingual people shop? Looking at the media they watch, looking at the internet they use, the languages. You can think of all these things would be important depending on what you were trying to market to this particular group, right? So you could try other things too. You could look at any of your topics. I know one that comes up is looking at obesity statistics. And again, how would business look at that? How would they look at those populations? So any of these that you want to go ahead and click on, you can just click on the title. And don't panic. It will, oh, this one's a little different. Commonly, it will take you to an actual graph, and people tend to panic because you need the actual data set. If that happens, there's always an Excel spreadsheet over to the side of the graph. So if you click on that, that's when you get the pure data, and it will look like what we're looking at right now. You'll also have a little more information about what they're actually showing you and a source about where this comes from. So in this case, it comes from the Kaiser Family Foundation and the CDC, so the Center for Disease Control. Both of those could be additional sources that could help you. So again, Statista, I'll go ahead and close this window, is going to be your kind of business perspective, marketing, looking at specific populations within the United States, although they do have some global information as well. So the second one, if this is business, statistical abstract is going to be your government information. And they'll pull from all the different departments. This usually came out in a huge book that we probably still have copies of in the library. But if you look at this, again, you get a feel for what they're covering. So looking at population, education, anything that's affected by the government. Lots and lots of economic numbers in here as well. So if you're doing anything with the economy, imports, exports, different industries, this is a great place to look. The only tricky part is you really have to be careful about your keywords because they're going to match with how the government is labeling them. So less opinion, more of a checklist. So if I try obesity, just to, again, look at the numbers in this area, you'll see a bunch of different tables, kind of get a feel for who studies this kind of thing. Again, each one of these will tell you the department that looks at this, the National Center for Health Statistics, Centers for Disease Control. If you go ahead and click on a title, it will take you to the actual data set itself. And there it is. Just a little fair warning, sometimes these can be huge, huge data sets. And if it's so large that it doesn't look like it's something that would work for you, you can actually look at the pieces that might be a little more pertinent to your actual topic. So talk to your instructor about that if you have questions. Again, one of the nice things about government data is they're often going to have really nice definitions. So if you're doing anything with poverty, or and you need to know what is poverty or what's the number that is poverty, in this case, looking at BMI, they're going to tell you exactly what obesity is labeled as. So you're going to have some really nice definitions that can help your papers. They're also going to tell you the source where this came from, and often it will come from a much larger document that might actually be a great source for your paper. So you might want to pay attention to that. Lastly, it will allow you to download. So when you go to actually interpret this data, you'll have the Excel spreadsheet that will allow you to do that. So again, closing this one, if we have our business information and then our government information, we'll also have statistical insight, final one. This kind of falls in between the two. And this is going to be, let me go ahead and type in topic. In comparison to the others, this is going to be more like nonprofits. In this case, if I'm looking for college debt as a topic, it's looking at the Chronicle of Higher Education, the National Association of College and University Business Officers. You get a feel for kind of how that fits in the big picture of who collects data. So these numbers, the tricky part is they're all going to come in large reports. Things like the UN and World Bank tend to do large reports when they publish information. So any of these, if you click on them, they're going to have the data, but the data might actually be hid within a larger document. So in this case, it has just the table itself, which again can be downloaded. Let's see if I go back and look at another one. Okay, this is a little more normal. If it has the larger PDF, oftentimes it will tell you which pages have the tables themselves. And the reason I'm pointing this out is, again, if you're looking at a 700-page PDF, you don't want to have to scroll through the whole thing to actually find the data set. So pay attention to anything that says, if it has a little tab that says table, if it tells you in the abstract where the tables are, or even this tab up here where it says tables, that will show you just directly the numbers themselves. So this one's a little more friendly with keywords. You can kind of mess around with that. But again, it's going to be kind of the data that falls between the government information and the business information. So closing this window and going back to the library homepage, again, these are all the data only resources that we have at UTSA. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the homepage. Again, remember that there are lots of additional sources out there. If you're struggling with kind of figuring out where to go, the chat window that pops up, go ahead and type in what you're trying to find. It'll connect you with a librarian who can help you right away. Just tell them you're in WRC and kind of what your topic is, and they'll get you started. You can also go to Library Quick Search and type in WRC 1023. And the very first thing that comes up is a guide that was actually created for this class. You'll see a whole bunch of topics here, but I'll go ahead and click on kind of the main page. So again, all these topics over here have very specific data sets for these different areas. So if I was doing something on the Democratic Party, all of these resources are specific to that topic. So if you've kind of looked at those other main or the places we started with, these might be more focused results that could be helpful for you. So there's lots of different options there. And of course, if I go back to the main page of this live guide, there are things that will help you here. Also, all of my information is right here on the side. You can set up an appointment with me. My calendar's there. You can email me. There are lots of ways to get help with this assignment. So hopefully this is just a quick introduction to get you going. But if you're really struggling or feeling frustrated, please do reach out for help. There are lots of ways to help with this tricky assignment.